Alright everybody, so the sun is out. I'm going to roll up the garage door. And it's time to get to work on the Nissan. Not really how I planned to spend a couple of days of having some time off of work. Especially a week before I'm supposed to race this car. Oh. But that's the plan, and that is this week's episode, is getting the engine that I picked up last week in this car and running. Hopefully by the end of this weekend. I also have a mountain bike race and a bunch of other stuff going on. So I need to get busy. I did not film a lot of stuff today, mostly because I'm really frustrated with this engine swap. Been out here for about 8 hours. I've got a fair amount of stuff done. I've got the engine, so I've got the old engine out of the car on the ground. I've got the transmission separated from it. I've got the clutch flywheel pressure plate already off. I already swapped the valve cover onto the new one because I have to keep the old valve cover for the warranty. It's got a part number written on it for my warranty. Let's see here. Swap the power steering pump over. I have to go get a bearing bushing puller kit because there's a difference. Well, I'll show you the difference between. So if you look at, this is the manual one. You can see there's a recess with a bronze bushing in there. And on this one, there is there's a bushing pressed in for the automatic, so I got to pull that out. And then tomorrow, my new bushing should be here, so I can drive that into the crank, and then I can put that stuff back on. Maybe tomorrow afternoon I can hang it back in the car and start the process of putting everything back together. I still want to swap the water pump. I put a brand new water pump on this motor, and I haven't even driven it with the water pump installed. So I'll probably swap the water pump tomorrow too. Maybe I'll come out here in the morning and swap the water pump before my mountain bike race tomorrow. Yeah, suffice to say, this is the most frustrating engine swap I've ever done. Like, just where they've put stuff, all of the sensors along underneath the intake manifold that are hard to get to. You can't get to the wiring, or not knowing that they're there is probably a bigger part of it. Yeah, I'm just used to everything being on the front, nothing on the back. And on this Nissan, everything's on the back and nothing on the front. Hopefully tomorrow I'll have some more updates. I've got 2.5 days left to get this in and running, so we'll see how that goes. Morning everyone. Day 2 of the engine swap to get this car done before rallycross next weekend. So sorry, my lips are really chapped, so if I lick them in the middle of this, it's not you, it's me. So I came out this morning, grabbed the pilot bearing out of the freezer, looked at it, realized that there's already a bearing in there that matches the same dimensions as this. So I don't need this. Fortunately, it was only like $4. So I put the clutch on, put the power steering pump on, and a new belt, and mounted the transmission. Now, I didn't film any of that because there was a lot of cursing, and YouTube doesn't like cursing, and quite frankly, I just wanted to get this thing on so that I could hang it in the car this afternoon. But while I have it out of the car, I wanted to show you guys a few things, why this is such a pain in the neck for me. because like things I don't understand about this engine and why they designed it the way they did. So many of you guys on this channel that follow this channel are into Volkswagens and understand Volkswagens and have worked on Volkswagens. I'm in the same boat. I look at this Nissan and it completely confuses me. I don't understand why they did things the way they did. So let's see here. So let's start with the axles. The axles have been a huge pain of hatred on this car for me. I hope I never have to change one out at an event, because I'll probably just put it on the car and put it on the trailer and go home. I don't know. I've tried to get these axles out of the transmission, both on the automatic at the junkyard and on the on this. They just don't come out. The manual says use a screwdriver and pry them out. Well, they don't. But check this out. So, okay, so I got my floodlight now, which probably isn't going to do anything. But so here's the passenger side axle. It goes all the way out to the knuckle, and it bolts to the to the engine. And then up there is the hole for the starter, and that's where the starter mounts. And out there are the two bolts that hold the starter to the transmission and the block. And then this is a mount for some kind of control rod. I don't understand what. And then you have your shift mechanism that bolts into here. So this bracket has to come off when you do this separation of engine and transmission. Over here, so here's where your oil filter goes. It's nice that they give you a little hole in the bracket for all the oil to drain out of when you take it off, which runs right down the back of your engine and onto your axle and your boot and everything else. Your power steering pump is here. And then you have water pump, engine mount, and then all up in here, like all along the back of the block and everything. I don't even know if well, let me get the light. So there's sensors up there that have to be plugged and unplugged and all that. And yeah, they're really hard to get to with the engine in the car. So I don't understand why they did things that way. The other thing that I ran into when I was putting this on is, if you're familiar with engine and transmission interface, they use some dowels for alignment. Well, on here they put one of the dowels next to one of the bolt holes. So if you slide it on and it clunks into position and you're like, yes, and then you look and none of the bolt holes line up, that's because you put one of the dowels in one of the bolt holes. So just stuff like that. It's like really frustrating to work on this car without a history of working on Nissans. But at this point, it's all bolted together and ready to go back in the car. I am going to take a break and run some errands this afternoon that I have to get done, and then I will come back. Hopefully it's not snowing, and I can I can wheel this over and get it back into the car. Once it's back in the car, I'm kind of on the home stretch. There's a few wires that I broke pulling this out, and I'll have to repair those. Hopefully by the end of today, I'll either be covered in snow or I will have an engine hanging in the car. I'm thinking it's going to be the first option. All right, everybody, I am back from my bike race. Went pretty well. Got a first place trophy out of the deal. So now I'm really tired, and it's not raining, it's not snowing. So I am going to get this motor hung in the car and then see how long I can go before I freeze to death out here tonight. So Alright everybody, the engine is actually hanging in the car now, so which is good because it doesn't appear that the sky has opened up and doused me with any kind of precipitation, so I'll probably pay the price for saying that tomorrow. But it's in, it's off the garage floor. I can put the lift away and clean some stuff up, and that's what I'm going to do with the rest of the night, is I've got a bunch of stuff to clean up. So I'm going to shut the camera off and clean up out here because it's dark and you can't see me film anything anyway. So, but anyway, that's it for tonight. Alright, it is day 3 and the engine's in the car. There's still ice on the driveway. The sun doesn't get back this far in the driveway, so there's still like ice and stuff. Still cold, but at least it's not like sending things down from above. So see how much I can get done today. Hey everybody, it is the end of day 3 and I did some running around today and had to pick up some stuff to replace parts on here that needed to be done, like fuel lines. I needed to get fluids for it, but a majority of the hard stuff is done. The engine is obviously in like it was yesterday, but now it's actually sitting in the engine bay like it's supposed to instead of all twisted back like it was. Replaced some of the wires that I broke when I pulled it out. Replaced a fuel line that had a big chunk missing out of it. New oil pan gasket. Let's see here, what else have I done today? Just a lot of like hooking stuff up, and it's actually pretty cold out here right now. You know, replacing vacuum lines, stuff like that. So tomorrow's day 4. I'm actually going to go get my back looked at in the morning, and but so all I've got left is I got to put the AC compressor back in, and let's see here, plug wires, coil wire, and then like the airbox, MAF, all that stuff, radiator, and then I got to do all the fluids. So I got to fill the tranny, do the oil, fill the radiator, all that stuff. So that is going to be tomorrow, and it's about just after 8 o'clock here now. So been at it most of the day in one form or another. So I'm going to call it a night, and maybe I'll show you guys in the morning. I'm going to take a well-deserved nap and hopefully feel better tomorrow. Hey everybody, it is day 4 and I'm nearing the end of day 4 on getting this engine swapped out. I just got back from picking up a bunch of stuff. Amazon dropped off the new engine mount so I can mount the lower crossbar that goes underneath everything, and fill it up with fluids, and then we'll do a test fire and see if this hunk of crap actually works. So let me open the hood here. Turns out I had a pinched nerve in my arm, and I got that worked on this morning, so that set me back about 3 or 4 hours of time, but well worth it. My arm feels tons better. I've still got a little bit of therapy I have to do on it, but I can actually work with my arm again now, so that feels pretty good. But here it is. Everything is installed. Still got some zip ties I have to go around and put on, and like snap some of these cables back into place and all that kind of stuff. But I figure at this point it's probably, I need to see if this piece of crap actually works before I go like zip tying everything. Of course, and here I am like snapping stuff in as I'm talking to you guys, so I can't quit. Yeah, not too much more to do. I got to put the rad in, hook up the rad. That only takes a couple minutes. I still have to fill the the oil or the transmission fluid, because that all came out when I pulled the tranny, and a couple more hoses and stuff. So it's like 37 degrees right now, and I feel like there's a wind tunnel coming through the driveway. So I'm gonna get this stuff wrapped up. Nothing really interesting to see, but once I'm ready to fire it off, I'll turn you guys back on, and we'll see if this thing actually works. All right, while this thing is filling up with oil, I wanted to talk to you guys about the two types of connectors. One they use on these Nissans is just it's got a little push connector, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Maybe I have to put it in front of my face. There we go. So it's got a little push tab on there, and these are real easy to get off. You just have to compress the tab, and then it releases from the electrical connector. So those are really easy to deal with. Volkswagen uses these, and actually about a third of the connectors on the engine on this car are this style connector here. Ooh, that looks really good. There we go. So it has a little wire that runs all the way around it. And if you get an old, electrical sender or something like that, the best way to get these out is to come into the side here with a little screwdriver and just pop that wire out. Sometimes it's easier to do it from the top, where you release the wire, and a lot of times the wire on the Volkswagen ones will just come completely off, and then you can just pull it off the sender. Saves you from trashing the plug or the thing it's connected to. So I got one more quart of oil, and then I'm going to hit the key and see if this thing works or not. I haven't put coolant in it yet, because honestly, if the motor's bad, I don't want to waste like 2 gallons of coolant and water and mixing it and all that stuff. So it's already bad enough that I'm wasting gear oil and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to run it for very long. I just want to run it long enough to see if it actually runs. So I'll finish up putting the oil in here, and then we'll hook the battery up and do the thing, and either be happy or sad. Either way, I'm drinking beer tonight. All right, this is it. No rehearsing. This is straight up like either it's going to work or it won't. And it didn't. Actually, something's going on with the... I don't know if I just need to tighten down the battery terminals. I just slipped them on there, but like nothing. No click, no nothing. Do you ever reach the point where all the wrenches start looking the same? Alright, so something's going on with the starter circuit. I know the starter's good because it worked before, so I'm going to crawl underneath and take a look again. Alright, I know someone in a Nordic country or in the Midwest right now is laughing their head off at me because it's 38 degrees and I'm bundled up like the Michelin Man, but I'm cold. I think I figured out what I forgot to hook up, and I'll show you because it's one of those things I told myself to hook up and then I didn't. So I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Let me flip you around here. Way down in there, you can see that black wires, 2 black wires. Let's see here. Yeah, so basically there's 2 black ground wires there. They're like doubled with a 10 mil nut with a Phillips head on them. And both of those are attached to the back of the intake manifold, and those are ground wires, and I forgot to hook them up. And I'm pretty sure that is one of those grounds the starter. somehow. Even though there's a big giant ground on the front of the engine, there's probably a trigger for the starter that grounds through that intake manifold connection in the back. So let's try it again. We'll see if I'm right. Okay, that wasn't it either. I'm gonna keep hunting and freezing. I think I figured it out. I think it was something really easy. The starter solenoid is connected to the wiring harness by a jumper that comes off the back of the starter, and it has like a little gray plug. Well, when I looked at the little gray plug, the terminal had slidden out of the back of the starter side of it a little bit, so I pushed it in, and I think I've got it. Let's give it a shot. It runs, but it makes horrible axle noises. So I got to figure that out, but it runs. I think it might have been the, I don't know. I still got some things figured out, but it runs. It runs pretty good. I don't see any huge puddles underneath it, which means it doesn't leak any oil in the first 15 seconds it ran. So victory! The engine I got from Pick Apart works. So that is good news. It's still got a high idle. I'm wondering if maybe there's a vacuum line I forgot to hook up somewhere. But it ran good. So yes. Now off to solve other problems and get ready for rallycross. So that's the end of this video. Hopefully I solve whatever's making all kinds of weird noises underneath there. If not, I'll probably run it anyway. So until next week, which is going to be actually at the rallycross, get out there and work on something.